Hello and welcome to the December episode of the Kushmerek Connection. Thank you so much for tuning in. And today we are filming thanks to FATV, and we are in the Workers Credit Union studios here at FATV. So thank you to everyone involved. And joining me as our first guest today for our December episode is Corey Yang, who's president and CEO at the United Way of North Central Massachusetts. Corey, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Oh, absolutely. It's you guys do just some really amazing work, and I think you and I were discussing this in the studio right before. Right. I think there's always this uncertainty from so many members in the community of what is the United Way? And I thought they were associated with this organization or that organization, and the answer is you do it all. And I think behind so many of our nonprofit causes and behind so many of the needs of our region is the United Way, standing arm in arm with our nonprofit providers and really our populations in need. So I guess let's get to know you a little bit.
That's a great intro, Mike. I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I've been with our United Way for about 3.5 years now. I came in about 6 months before the pandemic, and boy, what a roller coaster.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I've observed and experienced, not just because of the pandemic, is just the intrinsic generosity in our community. And that's why working at United Way, specifically here at North Central, has just been so special for me. You asked a little bit about what United Way does, and I think you had a good observation that if you get 10 people in a room and you ask them if they know United Way, all 10 will say, yes, I know United Way. I would say if you ask if you have good feelings about United Way, 9 3/4 would say, yes, I have good feelings about United Way. If you ask specifically, what does United Way do in your community, you might get 10 different answers, right? And that's both a blessing and a curse. And it's largely because we do a lot. You know, we provide funding support to some of the most high-performing nonprofits in our community, YMCAs, domestic violence organizations, food pantries, boys and girls clubs. We also bring those organizations together to work on tough issues, because no one organization can solve homelessness. No one organization can address this vexing mental health issue that we have in our community. And we also provide, I think most importantly, an opportunity for everyday people to do good in their community, whether that's giving, volunteering, or advocating. I like to think of our United Way as the portal to do good in your community.
I love that. I love that. So tell us a little bit about yourself, too, because you this isn't your first stop with United Way. You previously worked with United Way in the past, correct?
Yeah. So I spent about 10 years prior to working with this United Way of Mass Bay in Boston.
Fantastic.
Moved over for a short period of time to a community action organization in Quincy, kind of the mock of the South Shore as chief operating officer. Gave me an opportunity to really understand the mechanics of nonprofit organizations. And then, I got a call from a recruiter saying, we have this position open in North Central. Came out here to talk to the board, and as soon as I stepped foot in North Central, I was like, this is the job for me.
Yeah. Now, did you always know that you wanted to work in the nonprofit sector, that this was in the field that you felt most passionate about?
Yeah, it's funny. So my brother has a business degree from Harvard, so he's gone in a different direction than I have. He says, we can save the world in our own ways.
That's
but
right.
For me, I've always been about recognizing human potential and recognizing that how important it is to leverage each individual to improve our community. And I remember growing up in Boston and being in Boston Common with my dad at a festival, and we were walking over to Brigham's, which I'm dating myself, we don't have Brigham's anymore. But outside of Brigham's were these 3 homeless gentlemen, and they were really nice guys. And they were sitting on the sidewalk and didn't have much, asked for some money, said hi. My dad and I spent some time with them. And from that, I think, moment on, I realized that there are so many people in our society who are struggling and who just got dealt a bad hand in life. And some people just need a helping hand. Some people just need that reinforcement. And I think that is the case for many people in our society. And I'm of the belief that every human being has potential, and some might need some support in unleashing that potential. And so for me, being in the nonprofit, being a part of a charity really checks the box on so many objectives I have in my career and in my life. So.
Well, thank you for what you do. It's so important that we, like you said, there's some that go off and change the world in different directions and in different ways, and sometimes that's through private industry.
Yes.
But we need folks that are ready and willing to commit themselves to the needs that are around us each and every day. And when I worked in the nonprofit sector in my previous life before becoming an elected official, I got to work as a development officer, which is code for fundraising, right?
Yep.
And I always just found, I finally got to figure out who are these remarkable people that call themselves donors to organizations. And I always had some images in my head of who donors were, but and you get to work with donors at every level of giving, from the $1 donations to the ones that might help fund an organization for a year. Can you give us a sense of who are the donors that help support the United Way?
Absolutely. Now, so when I go out in the community, people often associate United Way with high net worth donors, and we do have high net worth donors.
Sure.
And we love you. We appreciate everything you do for us. But the vast majority of our supporters are everyday people in our campaign. It's the nurse, the fireman, the foreman, the teacher, the bank clerk, the factory worker, all giving a little bit to help those most in need. One of our most loyal donors, when I first got to the organization, I was looking at our spreadsheets, looking at our data, honed in on this one donor. Been giving at the $400 level since 1994 as a cashier at Hannaford's.
Wow.
Now, this gentleman, I had an opportunity to go up and meet with him. We brought him some balloons and a thank you. First of all, he's like, "Why are you here?" And I said, "We wanted to thank you. And I wanted to understand, why do you give to United Way? Why do you give to us?" And he says, "I know that there are people who are less fortunate than I am." That's what we're about. That's what we're about. We're about civic engagement. We're about bringing people together. And we're about creating opportunity for people to do good in their community. Because charity is within all of us. It's not exclusive to those who have means. Charity is a form of civic engagement. And the more people we have on board, the better our community will be.
I love that. I love that. A form of civic engagement. It's not just about voting. It's not just about volunteering. And we hope you do both of those things, right? It's about stepping up and helping to meet the need.
Absolutely.
And the beautiful part about United Way is for the folks who are like, I'm passionate about helping, but I don't know who to help or where to help or what organization. They don't need to worry about it because you've actually done all of that work. You and your board of directors and your staff, you help to make sure that the organizations that you work with are reputable and trusted partners in the community. And so how do they make a donation to the United Way? What's the best way to do that?
They can just go on our website, uwncm.org. Or you can just hit United Way of North Central. There's a very large button to give, and you can give. There's also opportunity to connect into the community in other ways. You want to find a volunteer project that interests you for you personally or your employees or your family. We can connect you to traditional volunteer opportunities like working in a food pantry or working in a homeless shelter. We also have skill-based opportunities. So just launched an initiative called Board Connection, where we help, emerging professionals find and identify board of directors opportunities around values that are important to them and help them become the next generation of nonprofit leaders.
Oh, that's fantastic. I wish I had that.
Yeah, it's funny. I had an opportunity to meet with a young person who had joined a board a couple years ago. And he said, "Yeah, I was asked to join this board, and I'd never joined a board before, and I didn't really have any training. And I remember my first meeting, I just voted yes on everything, right?" And so, that's not what we want to do, right? We want to make sure that people have the information and knowledge and support to make that impact. So we're really proud of that initiative. We launched it actually at Great Wolf Lodge a couple months ago, and essentially what we do is, you're interested in serving on a board, we conduct an intake. What's important to you? When are you available? What are the issues that you want to work on? and then we'll find an opportunity, and then we'll broker that, and then we'll step away. And we've been able to onboard several individuals just in the last couple of weeks. So,
that's great to be able to engage that next generation of leaders.
Absolutely.
Because I think all too often, right, you look at all of the different nonprofit boards across our region, it's the same 200 people being asked to do everything.
Yes.
And you talk to a lot of those people, and they'll say, I'm tired. I want to pick one or two.
Yes.
Or I said yes 2 decades ago, and I haven't been able to leave.
Right.
And it's so important that we engage that next generation, and that the board of the nonprofit looks like, sounds like, and feels like the population that is actually reflective of our community today.
100%. And it's not just a one-way street, right? When you serve on a board of directors, you are building skills, you are, networking, you are folding into the community, and there's a lot in terms of your own personal and professional development that occurs as well. So,
with our last couple of minutes, I've been really impressed with. Early on when you came in, you identified homelessness was a growing issue, not just in north central Massachusetts, because I think everybody always thinks, Fitchburg, Leominster, we've got a problem with homelessness. The entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts, it's a growing issue in the northeast corridor of homelessness. And the best way to approach this problem is not ignoring it. And you really stepped up, and I think you became one of the real regional leaders in saying, we've got to address this, and we can't all just be operating in our own silos. Can you talk just briefly about some of the work that you've done around homelessness?
Absolutely. So first, we have a number of fantastic organizations in our community that are working on this issue. Right? Catholic Charities, Our Father's House, Making Opportunity Count, the list goes on and on. But if you're providing those services in a helter-skelter way, where there's not a user-friendly environment, right, where someone goes to receive a service, and then they're ping-ponged back and forth between different organizations. It's a waste of resources, and it's not getting that individual anywhere. So we know that there are larger policy issues that need to be addressed in order to fix homelessness. But we also know that if we are going to provide high-quality services, we need to provide those services in coordination. We need to make sure that there is a user-friendly access to services for people who are at risk of homelessness, whether that be a family or an individual. And we need to make sure there's no wrong door. Now, we may not be able to place you in housing in day one, but we're going to make sure that we connect you to the constellation of organizations that are going to provide you with the best shot at getting housing, and they're going to provide services with dignity. So what we've been able to do is work with about 30 to 35 organizations throughout North Central Mass on a regular basis, and working to promote that coordination, providing those resources, and again, ensuring that there's no wrong door for people who are needing services and supports.
It's fantastic. It's so well needed. I'm thankful for your leadership.
Well, I'm thankful for your leadership. I know on the policy end, you and I have had a number of conversations where you've asked, what does this group need in terms of resources on the public end? What can we be doing from a legislative standpoint to support this work? And we can't do it, like you said, in silos. And I think initiating that linkage is healthy for our community. So thank you.
Well, no, it's a great team in North Central. And look forward to your continued partnership.
Me too. Me too. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Folks, stay tuned in. Right after this break, we'll have Johnny Aliman from the Highland Baptist Church coming on, talking about their food pantry. Stay tuned.
I remember when.
Fitchburg was the smallest town in the area, but by 1835, it had grown to be the largest town. By 1840 and 50, most Fitchburg residents had become abolitionists. Another early industry in Fitchburg that still continues today is scythe making. Women used to have to spin yarn and weave cloth themselves, but now it was being made in factories, cutting down and exporting its wood to build cities up and down the East Coast, and of course, for making paper. Starting in the 1800s, the population becomes much more diverse. Fitchburg Machine Works expanded widely.
After World War II, Main Street was lively.
And welcome back. Joining me now at the Workers Credit Union studios at FATV is Johnny Aleman, who is the head pastor at the Highland Baptist Church of Fitchburg. Welcome on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Johnny, I appreciate you being here and appreciate everything you do in our community. I know we're going to get into it in a little bit, but you run just a fantastic food pantry right over on Cedar Street. In Fitchburg, right in the Fitchburg State area, and just thankful we had the opportunity to tour it a little while ago. It feels like a few months ago, but I think it was probably about 9 months ago at this point, and just see some of the impact that you have firsthand. But that said, let's start. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you end up in Fitchburg, and how did you end up in this profession?
All right, it's a loaded question. I'll try to answer it in a couple minutes. But I grew up in the Hyde Park, Dedham area.
Sure.
So closer to Boston. And so I actually came up to Fitchburg because me and one of my buddies that I went to college with was living in Fitchburg at the time, and we started like a Fitchburg youth group for teens.
Sure.
Because his neighborhood just had a lot of teens everywhere. They didn't have anything to do. Fortunately, parents not really taking good care of them. So we said, all right, well, let's do something with them. Let's feed them. Let's play games with them. Let's, obviously we're religious men, so let's teach them Bible, and let's just give them a safe place to be. And that led to, hey, let's try to be able to impact their parents, so let's plant a church. So we actually planted a church in Fitchburg in 2017, and then that church merged with Highland Baptist Church, who has been in Fitchburg for 130 years, basically, at this point. Because we were like, hey, we're both trying to do the same thing. We're trying to impact and help the community. Let's just merge forces. And so we did that. So I've been at Highland since 2018. Was the interim pastor in 2020 and officially became the lead pastor in 2021.
Fantastic.
So,
Wow, that's quite an evolution in a pretty short period of time, too.
It was pretty short period of time,
Now, I'm curious, but we didn't get a chance. I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, but curious, how was that reception, and how was that when you came time to merge between the two? It was the Highland Baptist Church. Were they pretty receptive to welcoming you in?
Yeah, they were definitely super receptive. I mean, so at the time, Highland was without a lead pastor.
Sure.
So my buddy Tim primarily, and myself on a couple occasions, we were doing some preaching for them.
Okay.
Just to kind of help fill the pulpit. And then eventually they said, hey, why don't, to my buddy Tim, it was the pastor first, why don't you guys consider merging with us? And so we prayed about it for a while, but they were super receptive, always wanted us to be there.
Sure.
They wanted younger energy, younger life to merge within the church, and so we just figured, hey, we're both trying to do the same thing, so let's just combine forces. So they've always been super receptive from the beginning.
No, it's been exciting to see some of the youth and energy, not just of the leadership, but the congregation too, right?
Yeah, the congregation is, they're a really loving congregation, and like you said, you came to our food pantry. We've been running that for almost 30 years now.
So that was going to be my next question. What is the history there?
So it started somewhere in the I can't exactly find it, but somewhere in the mid 95, 96.
Sure.
Started as a really small operation, and through just growing in different partnerships, it's turned into what it is now. So we have a partnership with Worcester County Food Bank, with Hannaford's and Townsend and Lunenburg. And we've been doing this for 30 years. We serve over 100 families twice a month, every time we do a distribution.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And you were saying to me earlier, too, it's not just food in the most traditional sense, everything from diapers and formula as well.
Yeah, we've more recently added formula and diapers within the last year because we started to see that need trending up.
Yeah.
And so, like I was telling you, the Worcester County Food Bank, they have some of the stuff there. So we said, hey, let's get it when we see the need, let's give it out. And so, yeah, we've been able to do that. Last time I was on the show, I think with Sam Squalia, we talked about how we had, it must have been about $5,000 worth of formula. Yeah. And when people weren't able to get it with that huge shortage a few months ago, we were able to actually provide it completely free. And I kid you not, there were people telling me at that time that their child had not eaten the night before, and they came and got formula and were able to go.
Literally life-saving.
Yeah, literally life-saving, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a challenge across the state and across the country of finding formula. Yeah. And even if you could find it, seeing the price gouging that was starting to happen. Yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, you filling that need, I can only imagine as a parent, wondering where that next meal is coming from for your child, and then showing up the next day and realizing that we just figured it out. Yeah. We have help.
And the process is easy. They just fill out a quick form and they're in and out in 5 minutes. Wow. So it's easy. Yeah. No,
that's absolutely incredible. I shared with you. Yeah, I have a 6-month-old at home, and it's my wife and I frequently talk about how fortunate we are that we can afford the formula and the diapers, and realizing that for most people, when they add a child to the family, boy, those costs go up in such a huge way. And for so many, I think there is that real panic of, wow, I knew it was expensive, but I didn't realize it was this expensive.
You don't realize it until you're there.
Right. That's exactly it.
Yeah. And sometimes when you haven't been a parent for a while, you forget how expensive it can be, or how
20 diapers in a day. How did that happen?
Yeah, exactly. So we're really happy that we're able to provide that right now. Although we are working on our diaper aspect of things.
Sure.
That's been more of a work in progress.
I'm sure.
So we're kind of switching directions a little bit there, and we're trying to make it more of a community-based thing. Just for funding purposes and stuff, until we can find more funding to provide diapers and such. But yeah, we're doing our best with that too.
Well, fantastic. I guess in that vein, how can people help both through donations? So
there's a couple ways. So we always like to just invite people to come down and help volunteer with your time. Right? If you don't have finances or resources, you can always provide time, even if it's just an hour, 2 hours. On Fridays, it takes a lot to load the truck up, unload the truck, get everything organized. Saturdays, we distribute for 3 hours from 8 to 11. So for December, it will be the first and third Saturday. So we'd love to have people just come and check out what we're doing. As far as donating, you can donate on our website, hbcfitchburg.com. You just find the give button, and you can give specifically to the food pantry.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And all those funds are specifically designated for food pantry purposes. So that would be diapers, that would be formula, that would be sometimes if we need to go out and say we didn't get enough cereal from the food bank, if we need to go buy more to fill in the gaps, purchase equipment that we need to make everything operational, that would go there.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Or even with diapers, actually, or formula, like you were saying, if people have diapers and formula that maybe their kid's not using anymore, that they grew out of, as long as it's still good, it's not expired, we take it and we'll use it and give it to somebody else.
Well, that's wonderful. So I know to all the other young parents out there, and as they start aging out of diapers, please don't throw those away. Make sure you put them to good use.
We'll always find a family for that can use them. So.
Well, that's fantastic, and I helped you unload that truck, and it was that reminder of, I think all too often, and we were just talking about it with Corey, of, volunteers are often on the older side, right? It's people with time to give. And often it's not because younger people don't want to give back or don't even have the time to give back. It's often because they don't know how. But this would be a quick and easy way. Not necessarily easy, but some folks that can help and lift and unpack the truck. It's a lot of work. And,
and I always tell people, especially if you come and help on the distribution, I think you leave feeling more blessed when you help and you give.
Absolutely.
You know, because these people are just so appreciative. They're so thankful. You know, so it's nice to be able to help and give back. You honestly leave getting more, you know, out of the process when you give. So.
And if you're on the other side and you're somebody who's in need, and sitting here thinking, boy, the cost of everything's going up, and starting to feel the pinch. You know, whether it's at the pump or at the grocery store, how can they get help from the food pantry?
Yeah.
What's the best way for them to engage with you?
So if someone is specifically needing food, diapers, or formula, I would recommend come out to our distributions. So our distributions are typically September through October, the second and fourth Saturday. That's when we give out everything from 8 to 11. But for November and December, we switch that to the first and third Saturday to correlate around the holidays.
Okay.
All they got to do is just show up. You just show up. If it's your first time, there's a form that literally takes you 5 minutes to form out basic info. You don't even need to have an ID. Yep. You just need to write your name, address, for reporting purposes for the Worcester County Food Bank. That's it.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's it. So you just show up. If you can't make it, you can give us a call or probably shoot us an email, Highland Fitchburg, just in case someone's not in the office.
Right.
HighlandFitchburg@gmail.com. If you can't get out, we'll find a way to get to you.
Well, that's fantastic.
So there's no way we're not going to let anybody go without. You know what I mean?
So if you're at home and you're in need, please don't hesitate. Please avail yourself of these services. You know, everybody needs help at some time, and I've shared with Johnny. I've been there myself. I've gone to food pantries with my mother and my family to get help when my family needed help, and so you shouldn't hesitate to do so either. Don't let pride get in the way of what you need.
Yeah.
And don't let any other obstacles get in the way. If my office or Johnny can help connect you with services or access, please make sure you reach out to us. And if you're at home and you're in the holiday spirit and you're thinking about those less fortunate, please, please, please consider going online, supporting one of the two great organizations we've just talked to, either the United Way or the Highland Baptist Church of Fitchburg. You can go earmark it right to the food pantry or any other aspect of their church that you decide is appropriate for you. So, Johnny, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you and all of your parishioners for everything that you do to support our community and lift those folks up. And to our audience, thank you again for tuning in to another week of the Kushmerek Connection, and we're looking forward to having you back in January. Thank you. Happy holidays, everyone.